We continue our series of Tialba Truth Tapes by examining some of the major mysteries of life which have plagued mankind since the beginning of our time. Firstly, Michelle, you say that planet Earth has been inhabited by humans for around 1.3 million years, which far exceeds the best estimates of today's archaeologists. You also say that the people of Tialba have been observing our evolution throughout time. Why have they become our guardian?
As they explained to me when I was on the planet there, I met the great masters and they explained to me they were one of the three planets who are in charge. They have their role is to help other planets in the universe, in a galaxy, to start with the galaxy. And I didn't understand at that time what they meant, but now I understand. So it's three different planets like them, and they look after us very closely, as you just say, that they look after us. It is their role. The role is everybody has a role. As they say to me, even a worm in a soil has a role, the role to improve the soil. So their role is to help time to time. Now, as you say, 1,350,000 years ago, the first man came on Earth. Mm-hmm. A man been born on Mars by natural means, by overcosmic ray. But the man on Earth never been, like we say, with Adam and Eve and stuff like that.
So never created?
He didn't know. The man on Earth came on Earth at that time, very evolved from another planet, and that planet was cooling down. A planet of our category, the first category, we'll talk about that maybe later. Mm-hmm. And they came from a planet named Baccaratini, which was dying, cooling down, and they had to evacuate. And they came with two rice. The first rice was the black rice, and also the yellow rice. And they came the first black rice in Australia, and after that they went more, and in Africa, Papua New Guinea, different, but that is another story. And the yellow rice, and if you like, our Aborigines are the ancestor. The ancestor of Aborigines were from Baccaratini. That's what's happened at the beginning.
That's amazing, Michel.
Then later you had also different people who came from another planet where I went when we passed with the spacecraft, if you read my book. Mm-hmm. And those people were the ancestor of the Polynesian now.
Okay.
And that was a very, very great civilization on the middle of the Pacific in a continent which named Mu. But I see you have maybe another question to ask me before.
You must be psychic, Michel. How amazing. What I was going to just say, just returning to the people of Tialba, you mentioned that they are our guardian. They're here to give us a little push, as you said on the earlier tape. Is that actually part of their evolution, to actually assist us as teachers?
Yes, it is, yeah. It's a part of the game, if you like.
So it's fair to say that they have lessons to learn just like we do on Category 1?
Yes, a different lesson. They are very, very evolved.
Right.
Their environment is different. They don't have our hash environment. Mm-hmm. That's what I call category of planet, different environment. They don't have all the problem we have here.
Right.
But they are very, very evolved spiritually, absolutely on the top of the ladder. Those great Tauri, I saw the Tauri are the master of the planet. I saw them in front of me, and I had to, open my eyes and say, am I dreaming or what? Because they were becoming invisible in front of me for the simple reason they had a problem to keep their physical body around their astral body. That, of course, it's a very difficult to explain that in a few seconds, but when you have an astral body and also a physical body, everybody sees a physical body, but the astral body nobody knows, and that's what some people call the soul. Mm-hmm. And they say it's a spirit, it's nothing, etc., etc. It is not at all nothing. We know spirit. I have a news for you, and I explain that in my book. Each of us with our astral body is made of more than 4 billion trillions of electrons. But of course, a long time ago, the religions were saying we have a soul, etc. They couldn't explain what it was an electron, but now you know what is an electron because you got the television.
Interesting. Yeah, exactly. We now live in an electronic age, as you say. That's right. Just returning to, we'll talk about electrons a little later in the program. Just thinking, you've mentioned earlier about the Baccaratinians who first came to this planet, and you mentioned that they were what we now know as Aborigines, today's Aborigines. I'm curious, having read your book, you mentioned also about the people from the continent of Mu, which I believe was around maybe 650,000 years ago. Yeah? Not bad for...
yes, but they disappeared 14,500 years ago.
Right.
That was a catastrophe.
It seems that there's been many advanced civilizations far exceeding our own. You mentioned in your book various things like they had anti-gravitational devices, they had superior spacecraft. Having said that, why is there no physical evidence unearthed at this time in our evolution? I mean, for example, we have archaeological digs happening all the time. They've unearthed Pompeii and other civilizations. There's talk of where Atlantis may be and so on.
Yeah, that was little civilization. And Atlantis, very soon, if you didn't find yet, we are going to find, example, a great pyramid in Atlantis, because those people built a pyramid on Mu. That pyramid has a very, very special role. I explain in few words the role of the pyramid. For the moment, our dear government and people, as you say before, they say, oh yes, it's alien and blah blah, and you say they have the X-Files and that and that. But many people deny, they even laugh at you if you talk about UFO and extraterrestrial. Now, it's very funny, the scientists, the government helping the scientists, send messages, radio messages through the space. You know that?
Yes, of course.
And say, hello, how are you? We are on Earth. What they do that? That's hypocritical. They believe there's nobody there and they send message. But no, we're not going to talk about that. So, they send a message today and say, how are you? We are on Earth. And 50 years after, I say 50 years after, they receive an answer, we are very well, thank you. What about that? You can't have a conversation. We can't have a conversation like that. So those people with great civilization had made a tool. Example, the Great Pyramid of Egypt is a replica of the Pyramid of Atlantis, the Pyramid of Mu. I explain. What is the fastest way to communicate after the light? Because when I say hello, how are you? Your radio message go at 300 and something thousand kilometers per second, but it's still not fast enough.
No.
So you receive the answer 50 years ago or 10 years, etc. Now, the speed of thoughts are faster. So they build a pyramid, and they had the knowledge to do that, a great knowledge. That pyramid, what they call the air shaft in a great pyramid, example, the king chamber with a sarcophage with nobody there. Why is nobody there? Because the guy who used the pyramid was lying on the sarcophage and telepath through the galaxy and had contact with other worlds through the pyramid. You are going to tell me why a pyramid to do that? It is very simple, because the Great Pyramid, the orientation of the Great Pyramid, the dimension of the Great Pyramid, that is a very important, make a tremendous force field inside the pyramid, and give the power to the guy who use it to communicate through the galaxy by telepathy and have a conversation with those people.
So it's like a huge radio transmitter, basically.
Yes, a telepathic transmitter, not radio transmitter, telepathic transmitter. And they could use that. For that, of course, they had a tremendous knowledge.
Now, they could both send and receive messages.
Send and receive messages at the other end of the galaxy.
Yeah.
Because you can send and receive messages by telepathy if you have the strength and the knowledge to do it. A good, you call a telepath. Clairvoyant is different. But telepath, through our solar system, it's okay. You can telepath to Mars, Pluto, if you think it's somebody there, but there's nobody there. But you could telepath, you can do that, and you can receive messages, but you can't really have a real conversation, even visuality. They had visuality through the strength of the Great Pyramid. Now, you can inquire about that. There's not too many people knowing that. The Great Pyramid is so powerful, you have formal interdiction for the planes to pass over the top of the Great Pyramid. Did you know that?
I didn't know.
I know many people don't know. But you can inquire about that, and the planes are determined. They can't pass over the Pyramid. It's very simple. If the plane passes on the top, just over the Great Pyramid, for the second or half second or 2 seconds, everything electric in a plane stop, then you can have a catastrophe.
That sounds a little bit like the Bermuda Triangle again. I know you talked about earlier.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's different.
But certainly they have problems with
it is something like that, but it's different.
Right.
Another thing again. We have to learn a lot of things we don't know. Also under the Sphinx, people, example, you ask me for proof. People ask me for proof. I'm going to tell you something. I say to Tao myself, I say, give me proofs. And she say, oh, yes, we are not going to give you physical proof. But she gave me proof. She gave me proof, example, with Mu, the Great Pyramid, etc., etc. You say, where is the proof, Michel? Okay. Now, I wrote in a book that the Great Pyramid been built 17,000 years ago.
Right.
How would I, if I was a fake, if you like, if I don't have proof and I make up something like people think I'm a hoax or something like that, how I would take precaution. I would say, listen, Michel, to myself, it's about 10,000 books or 5,000 books written about the Great Pyramid. And everybody talk about the Great Pyramid, built 4,000, 5,000 years ago. I'm going to be better than others. I'm going to build it 7,000 years ago. Why did I put 17,000 years ago? It seemed ridiculous, and I'm in a big mistake. If you look and read the book, archaeologists, you have to follow to do something like that. No, because I had information. Now, the proof are archaeologists, great people, scientists, they just dug not very long ago, and they make studies, and they found out the Sphinx had erosion, and the Sphinx is maybe, they say, more than 12,500 years ago. That's very funny. And every day I am laughing because I understand those mysteries they told me and I put in my book. At that time I thought it was blah, blah, blah from Tao. It was not blah, 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 because people who are studying my book, even scientists now say, oh my God, that guy wrote that. Where does he got the information? Now, I'm going to tell you something I never said before. And that's for you, Michael, and for people who are listening to your radio. It's a great information. I never said that before. And now I can say that because Tao told me a few things I couldn't say, and I can say that. You are the first to have it.
Thank you.
Under the Sphinx, it is a special place. Actually, it is 3 special places. And one of those places is very difficult to open it. If you don't have the secret to open that, you can't do it. Absolutely not. Not even with dynamite. It's impossible. Under this thing. Those places have information to help us technologically, to help to advance technologically our so-called civilization. They are under the Sphinx. But those information, if they are revealed now, it's going to be a catastrophe because, as I say before, we are like monkeys. Each time somebody came with a new idea, it's always a guy out there in an army, in a government, for money purposes, who transform it as a weapon.
Such as the splitting of the atom.
Yes, we are not ready for that. When we will be ready, it can be in 10 years, 100, 1,000, I don't know. It's up to us. They will permit to open that. The secret will be revealed. Now, to open it, because it's impossible to open it. That, if it's in 10 years, everybody is going to say, oh, Michel was right. But, I don't know. We have to conduct ourselves, because it would be exactly to give a machine gun to a kid of 3 years old. Would you give a machine gun with the bullet ready to shoot and a hand grenade to a kid of 3 years old on the middle of a room? No, you're not crazy. You say he's going to kill everybody. And that's why they worried.
You mentioned there are 3, I think you said there were 3 rooms. Without betraying your confidences, can you share, can you give us any more information about what's in these rooms?
No,
or...
no.
No? Okay.
No.
I thought I'd try.
Okay, because even the information of what is in the room, I won't tell you. Okay?
No, fair comment.
Even if I know it, maybe I don't know it.
Yes. No, I understand. That's okay. It was worth a try. Michel, speaking about, you've shared some evidence there. You mentioned also about the continent of Mu. We've talked about that very briefly. From reading your book, I understand that the Easter Island that still exists, and there are these huge statues on there, and my understanding is that there's no reasonable explanation how they got there, who constructed them.
Yeah, very good. It's another, if you like, information they give me as a proof, always as a proof. Mm-hmm. I heard, it's a shame, Commandant Cousteau died not long ago, but anyway, he still have the bathyscaphe to go down there, and same scientist, I hope, is going to dig and to dive under next to Easter Island. Yes. Easter Island, what we see is only the 10th of what it was. Okay, I explain because people, I explained that badly. Now I'm going in a radio here. I'm going to explain better. Easter Island for the moment is an island, but it was not an island before. Easter Island was a quarry of the continent of Mu at the very end of southeast of the continent of Mu in the Pacific. Mm-hmm. A quarry 10 times bigger than the Easter Island is now.
Right.
Okay. They have statue. They also carry big stone to build a pyramid or to build roads. And they had at that time the knowledge of anti-gravitation, which make floating the stone, if you like.
Yes.
Which is very interesting. I was reading, by the way, a book not long ago of a guy who wrote that book. I don't know when, in 70. And he says, it's a legend in Pacific. When you ask the people in Pacific or in Peru, and you ask them, who built those monuments? And the legend say, it was God who make floating the stone in the air. And that's a very interesting legend because it was floating. They had the knowledge of moving stone and everything by anti-gravitation. A stone of 10,000, of 1,000 tons can be moved. Okay. Now, same guy, I forgot his name, maybe I didn't forget, but I don't want to upset anybody, went in Easter Island one time and he had a very good theory. He took about 150 guys with a rope and they moved one statue, but the statue was about 3,000 kilo, maybe 6,000 kilo, 6 tons, and he moved the statue and he proved they were moving the statue like that. Unfortunately, he's wrong because I would like that guy to move the statue who is over there in a crater, ready to go almost, and is about 200,000 tons, you know. It's an immense statue. And that statue was ready to go. So how you are going to move that? That's only by law of anti-gravitation. They had the knowledge to do that. Now you are going to tell me why statue? It's very simple. Those statue, which by the way is still 7th statue in East Island, and you remember the people of Tiahuba is the 7th master I saw. Mm-hmm. It's very coincidental.
Yes.
Now, those statues are in East Island because the cataclysm at the time they were going to move them. But those statues were made by the artist at that time because the people of Tiahuba were very friend with the king of Mu. And they were at that time coming openly, which I wish they would do that now, coming openly in Canberra or Pentagon, and I would look much better. Nobody would doubt of me.
Yes.
And I said that to Tao. She said, "You're not ready yet." But at that time they came openly. And they were very, very loved by the people of Mu. And the sculptor, the artist, asked the king of Mu if they could stylize and make statue about the gigantic people, and that's what they've done. And those statues were carried from Easter Island, about 3,000 kilometers away, to the capital of Savanassa by anti-gravitation.
And now Savanassa is under the sea?
Yes, like Atlantis, with the pyramid and everything.
Michel, you mentioned earlier about the 7 Masters of Tiahuba. Now, having read your book, it does say in the book that, these 7 Masters commanded you to that everything you saw, heard, experienced, you must report word for word without any personal comment or change.
For that, I read the postscript. The postscript is my comment, but the rest, I couldn't change anything.
Having said that, having read the book, there is an enormous amount of detail. There's references to biblical facts, geological facts, scientific facts, etc., as well as virtually everything you've experienced and felt at the time. How were you able to actually recollect what's such an extraordinary experience over 9 days?
Okay. Now, if you go, it's two answers. The first answer, if you go in Paris tomorrow, it's the first time you go and you got a good guide. Are you going to remember maybe all your life you went on the Eiffel Tower, the Arc de Triomphe? Because you saw that with your physical body, you remember that. Even if you are 100 years old, it's easy for you to explain.
Yeah.
Now, of course, you are going to forget very, very soon. It is, I think, 16,000 or maybe 60,000 rivet for the Eiffel Tower, or Louis XVI is dead at such age, etc. Detail like that you're not going to remember.
Yes.
Now, in my case, it's a very, very good question. I'm thinking you to ask it. In my case, if you read my book, I say, when the Taoists say, in your planet, that and that and that, he was reading my mind all the time, and I was wondering, how am I going to remember all the detail? And reading my mind, because I didn't have the time even to speak with him, and I didn't want to speak, I was so flabbergasted. So he said to me, Michel, don't worry, Tao will help you at the right time when you are going to write the book. And when I was writing the book, as I say, I remember everything, but suddenly I said, oh my God, what's that? And I had big blanks, and I had like a voice over my shoulder to help me for detail, and I believe it was Tao who was just next to me in astral, or telepathing me, and tell me all the details. Sometimes during 1 hour I was blank, and another hour I wish to have shorthands possibility to write fast, all the detail, the geologic facts, and how many thousand, how many million of that, etc., came and to help me to write the book correctly.
Amazing. I must say, for anyone that's read the book, certainly this is my opinion, I think they would agree that Tiaoba Prophecy is an inspirational book of our time. It's far from being a book of doom and gloom. However, having said that, though, it appears that unless humanity changes course, our time here is limited. What can we do, Michel, to divert disaster?
We have to do all what it is possible, you know. The big problem now, of course, is economy. Everybody talks about economy, about money. Example, we have the possibility of the hydrogen engine.
Yes.
Which would be cutting 70% of the pollution tomorrow morning.
Gosh.
But the oil company, the big people, money people, they don't want to hear about it.
No.
And if you got that engine, be very careful, because they would be very upset if you make it in. Nobody wants to stop. People talk about it. The only possibility on that planet now, the last possibility, is like David Suzuki. David Suzuki talked one time on television not long ago, and he said something very, very good. He said, now, the only thing is to do, because everybody talk about pollution and stuff, but nobody do anything about it. The only thing to do is to go in the street, the people, and to force the government to do something about it. But seriously. And that's what I explained when Arki told me also in my book.
Arki's from another planet.
Yeah. From another planet. Also what I explained in a postscript, we have a tremendous possibility, tremendous force, not to go with a sign in the street, not to be violent. Everybody, even a lady of 110 years old or whatever, can do it. You know with what? The possibility of boycotting. Boycott is a very, very great strength. Imagine everybody boycott a magazine, a newspaper tomorrow morning. It's finished. In 10 days, the magazine is finished. Everybody go boycott a supermarket. The same supermarket is finished. You became the master by boycotting. And that is your free will given to you by God in a natural law, you are the master. You can do it. But of course, it works only if we are all together working with love hand in hand.
I think that's a problem, though, isn't it? Because we all see ourselves as individuals and say, gee, I'm only one lone voice out there in the wilderness, and there's probably a little bit of fear of ridicule if you pop your head up and say something which is out of turn. But I think back to only several years ago now, Tiananmen Square in China, where from memory they had various student riots. The government came in and quelled the riots in a fairly rash kind of way, brought in guns and brought in tanks. If you recall, they actually flashed around the world via the media how, from memory, one sole person stood in front of a tank and refused to move.
I put that in my book, by the way.
Did you? Good to see.
Yeah. The guy, everybody could witness that on television.
Yeah.
That guy, one man, was on the front of the tank, and everybody was waiting. Say, oh, it's impossible. He's going to be killed. You know, the guy.
Yes.
No, the guy in the tank stopped because they were so sorry. They said, we can't do that. And there were maybe 7 soldiers in the tank. They didn't dare to kill that guy. That guy was marvelous. But you know, you can do many, many, many things. If you take a big example, is Gandhi. Gandhi gives the independence. One man gives independence to his country. He put the English people on the English government on the knee because he told them, example, to boycott, to buy a T-shirt coming from England with their own cotton of India.
That's right.
And he made them doing their own T-shirt on 10 millions or 100 millions of Indian. That makes the economy down, and steady Gandhi won it, you know.
Yeah, I think in fact, if memory serves, I believe that when they actually gained independence from England, I think the final straw was actually Gandhi, who was maybe in his 70s, going on a hunger strike, and you think it's pretty peaceful.
He went in a hunger strike because he didn't want the bloodshed in Calcutta.
Yeah.
And in Calcutta, Lord Mountbatten, I read that, and Lord Mountbatten wanted to send 50,000 troops in Calcutta, and Gandhi said they are going to be massacred. And Mountbatten said, yes, but I have to. He said, no, don't do it, and he went in hunger strike. And I read that. It was marvelous. The guy said he was dying, absolutely dying. I think it's 40 days. And he was absolutely dying. And they say, please don't die. And the Muslim and the Hindu came in front of his bed, hand in hand. And they say, come on, stop eating, eat. See, look, we touch our hand, we shake hands. He said, yes, but you didn't sign anything. Hurry up. He said, no, I'm not in a hurry. If I die, it doesn't matter. You sign the accordance and everything in front of me, or I don't eat. And he's done it. One man. And he avoided a lot of stuff. Of course, okay. But that good man, they kill him still anyway.
Absolutely. Well, it seems like that seems to be the way. With respect, we've had some people. I think you mentioned obviously Gandhi in your book. You also mentioned Martin Luther and so forth. It's interesting. In more recent times, in Victoria, there is a new Chinese film which is now available in Australia, which was being boycotted by the Chinese. Actually, it's about Tibet, I should say. And it was not coming to this country. The Chinese government had put pressure on Western nations such as Australia that also quelled it in the US. The local Tibetan Buddhists protested by actually going on a hunger strike on the streets of Parliament in Melbourne. This made the front page of newspapers in this state as well as other states in Australia. And surprise, surprise, of course, we are now seeing the film. So, as you say, it's quite correct that we can change opinion very quickly just through peaceful means, which is excellent.
Yeah. You don't need the violence. You don't need anything. I explain all that in my book, and you can do that very, very well. Now, the way is, of course, to do it. Talking about it is one thing, but everybody has to join together and do the job.
Final question for this tape, Michel. We're running out of time again. It seems so quickly. But if you were able to drill down all the information in Tialba Prophecy, what is the single most important message the people of Tialba are trying to share with the world?
Also, we didn't really talk yet about it. We are coming from another world, which is an astral world. In religion, they call that paradise or whatever. And their message is to wake up us. As sorry for my English sometimes.
Wake us up, yes, I understand.
Not my mother tongue. and about who are we inside us, inside the physical body we can see is an astral body, and I think we will have a big talk about that later. Do you think so?
So the bottom line is, it's fair to say that we are a spiritual being having a human experience rather than a human being having a spiritual experience. Yeah.
You read my book. Congratulations.
Only a couple of times.